I'm not sure.
Actually,
No, we have hot
it was
sauce
Jen's
in
point.
the. No, I don't think there is
Fridge?
sauce.
Oh,
No.
shoot. Okay, well that's good.
You
She
can go
we'll
to
steam here. I need to.
No.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We are just coming back from lunch and moving on with the next part of our agenda. I believe we are on now to 10.2, which is the Grant Adjudication Committee Recommendations Report, presented by Mary O'Gavlin, or Ruby.
Good afternoon, Council. So it's actually me, Ruby. I'm presenting the Grant Adjudication Committee funding recommendations for the 2025 cycle. So the administration recommends to Council that Council accept and ratify the Grant Adjudication Committee recommendations for the 2025 cycle. So just some background, the Grant Adjudication Committee met on September 18th to determine funding allocations for community grants, FCSS, and United Way Partnership. So recommendations for the 2025 cycle are put forward in the addendum to this request for decision. Implications, so municipal and partner grant funding has historically supported numerous local not-for-profit and social initiatives in the city of Chestermere. Risk, so funding ratification being delayed or organizations being rejected can result in issues relative to organization functioning, such as community programs and services in the upcoming year. So conclusively, the recommended action is that Council motions to accept and ratify the Grant Adjudication Committee recommendations for the 2025 funding cycle as presented in the attached agenda package.
Great. Thank you. Are there any comments or questions on any of the ones specifically? Deputy Mayor Narayan.
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to thank the Adjudication Board committee, other staff, and of course all the non-for-profit organizations that are being supported. Non-for-profits are, the backbone of our community, and any opportunity, we get to support them, we should make the most of it. So thanks to the committee and to non-for-profits.
The only question that I had was, was in relation to the Calgary Immigrants Women's Association. So I'm assuming that even though the name is Calgary, that their work is happening within Chestermere. I'm not sure how specific you can get, but just with regards to that, I know that there is some questions that arise, right, whenever we see the word Calgary, right? Same questions arise to Calgary Yacht Club, because Calgary Yacht Club's been called the Calgary Yacht Club for over 100 years. It's a matter of happenstance now at this point, which fully exists and operates and does all of their work inside Chestermere. Was just wondering, though, about that Calgary Immigrants Women's Association piece.
Yes, so to the chair, yes, to your point, any funding that they would receive would be for programming and services only in Chestermere, and that was part of their application.
Perfect. Thank you. With that, I would like to call for the motion then for the approval of these. Councillor Schindler.
I motion that Council accept and ratify the Grant Adjudication Committee recommendations for the 2025 funding cycle.
Any other comments or questions? I just wanted to comment and echo Deputy Mayor Narayan's point. Thank you to this adjudication committee for getting this back on track for us for 2025, and to our staff and administration as well for ensuring that our organizations know going into 2025 what their funding is, so that they can appropriately plan, do their budgets as their budgets and their AGMs and all their things are coming up. So I just want to say thank you to our adjudication committee, represented on council, I believe, by councillors Grant and councillor Sandbo. So thank you for this work, and thank you to administration for getting that done. With that, I'd like to call for the vote. Thank you. And that's carried. Just one more comment. Sorry, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Just one more comment unrelated to this. Councillor Warzanowski is actually attending the 2025 Economic Outlook event, which is why he's not here. There was a few of us that were supposed to be going to that event, and we thought it was important to make sure that we had elected official representation at that event. So Councillor Warzanowski, as part of his role of the work he does, especially with our Chestermere Chamber of Commerce, has taken on that, which is why he is not here in attendance for the afternoon portion of our meeting. So we are moving on now to our next item, which is item 10.3, Alberta Community Partnerships ACP grants. I believe we have a new presenter for this. Is that correct?
Yes, through the chair to council, you're lucky. You get me for the rest of the afternoon, I guess.
All right. All right.
Yes, unfortunately, due to the scheduling, Liz is in an interview right now, so she's asked that I present this RFD on her behalf. I'll do my best, but should be relatively straightforward. So this subject is the Alberta Community Partnership Grant applications. The recommendations to council are that council direct administration to apply for the following Alberta Community Partnership grants: the Intermunicipal Collaboration Grant, CSMI Re-Entry Investigation to a maximum of $200,000, Intermunicipal Collaboration Grant, the Tri-Party Recreation Study Extension to a maximum of $200,000, and the Municipal Internship Grant, standard 18-month term for a land use planner. So some background and why these are coming to council at this point is these grants are open for application at this point. All three are on here. We're only certain that the first grant, being the CSMI reentry, needs a formal council motion, but my experience is typically any kind of grant funding needs some kind of council motion authorizing administration to move forward with this. So we're going to be proactive and try to hopefully get all three motions from you at this point. The first grant, the Intermunicipal Collaboration Grant, is to evaluate re-entering the Cooperative Storm Management Cooperative Partnership, so CSMI, and integrate the stormwater planning and infrastructure regionally as a whole with the City of Calgary, City of Chestermere, and Rocky View County. The second grant is for a tri-party recreation study extension. This is something that was approved originally back in 2019, but it got awarded in 2021. It expires at the end of the year. The City of Calgary is reapplying for extension of these funds for us to re-engage, again, collaboratively with the City of Calgary and Rocky View County to apply for this partnership grant to study recreation in the area. And the third one is a municipal internship grant. It funds, so there's no cost to the city on this one. It funds an 18-month internship for a land use planning position, which will be used to support the planning team. Just walking through some of the implications financially. If we're successful, then the funding source is from the grants rather than from the operating budget. Service levels, the grants allow us an opportunity to enhance our overall services with planning, delivery, stormwater management, and recreation, and it also supports our regional partnerships and strengthening our alliance with our regional partners. If we do not get the grant funding and we still wish to proceed with these projects, then the funding will need to come from the regular operating budget. So that's my quick report. If you have any questions, do my best to answer them at this point, but otherwise there's the three motions for each separate grant to be approved separately.
Councillor Grant.
Thank you. Through the chair to administration. If we are not successful in receiving these grants, are we approving the go-ahead on operations spending that money, or is this straight for the grant submittal?
This is straight for the grant submittal.
Thank you.
This may be a silly question. Is the 200,000 the maximum that we can apply for? Is that why that's the amount on there?
Through the chair, yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, thank you. Great, thank you. With that, I'll ask council to make the first of the three following motions here. Councillor Grant.
Thank you. I move council direct administration to apply for the following Alberta Community Partnership grants: Intermunicipal Collaboration Grant, CSMI Reentry Investigation to a maximum of $200,000.
We're doing each separately.
individual? Okay.
Yeah. So,
You do that.
comments, questions? Call for the vote. Great, thank you. Second motion. Councillor Grant, you're on a roll.
Thank you. I move that council direct administration to apply for the following Alberta Community Partnership Grant: Intermunicipal Collaboration Grant, Tri-Party Recreational Study Extension to a maximum of $200,000. Should that be party? Okay. Do you want me to restate it?
No, it's a minor. It's not
Okay.
material, I don't think.
Or that like 7
Comments,
times?
questions? Call for the vote. Councillor Grant. Oh, there we go. Okay. And next one.
I move that council direct administration to apply for the following Alberta Community Partnership Grant, Municipal Internship Grant, standard 18th month term for land use planner.
Great. Thank you. Comments, questions? Call for the vote. Great, thank you, and that's carried. I'd actually like to add another motion, if I can, to provide a little bit of background on what I'm looking for, if I may, administration, a little liberty here, is the tri-party recreational study extension could provide us with an opportunity to work with some other municipalities on some really cool recreational opportunities, whether that be providing recreation inside Chestermere or partnering with them on locations that could be very, very close to Chestermere. My point being that I think that this work could be material to the work that the Mayor's Task Force on Recreation is doing, because should some of this be successful, we could be looking at some really cool recreation rec facility and transportation opportunities that could have a significantly positive impact on residents of Chestermere. And so with that, I would like somebody to make a motion, because I can't. I was wondering if somebody from council can make a motion to provide the information of the tri-party study extension to council. Because I know there's already been some work. There was one that was already done. I was wondering if that paperwork, the work that has already been done, if that could be provided to council, to direct administration to do that. So I just need a councillor to make that motion. Councillor Randhawa? Do you want me to restate what I'm looking for? So what I'm looking for is that council directs administration to provide council with historical and current information related to the intermunicipal collaboration grant for tri-party recreation study. Good?
Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Randhawa?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I move that the council direct administration to provide council with the historical and current information related to the intermunicipal collaboration grant tri-party recreational study.
Comments, questions? Councillor Grant?
Thank you. Through the chair to council. My hesitation in the last motion was the timing of this grant. Like, if we're waiting for the grant and then we're going to get this work going, that's really going to impact the task force on what we're doing. So that's why I had hesitation before. I just wanted to communicate that.
So, Councillor Grant, I would like to offer an apology to you. There may have been some information that I was privy to just from the work of working with CMRB and also working with the Intermunicipal Committee. So I apologize that some of that information may not have gotten completely out. There's a deadline to this. And so if we don't meet that deadline, then this grant could die on the table. And there's no guarantee that we're going to get it anyway. So this grant does not provide us, this grant does not hinder us in any way. It would only help us, right? And so it also does not tie us to anything. So we're not actually committing to anything. What we're saying is we are open to the idea of, if we are able to find a cool opportunity to do recreational facilities that would be near Chestermere, that are going to provide recreation for Chestermere residents, that could be funded in a tri-party model, that's what this is going to tell us, if that's even a possibility. If that's not a possibility, then it's not a possibility, right? But this grant is not costing us anything to do that, nor is it committing us to anything. The potential of it is actually very, very strong. So I apologize if that information had not been provided to you previous for that motion. Any other comments, questions with relation to this? Okay, call for the vote. Great, and that's carried. Councillor Grant, just so you know that within our procedural bylaw, if you wanted to have a motion to reconsider on a vote that you had made, you can do that. You don't have to, but I was... Sorry? Okay, thank you. Then we are 10.4 budget deliberation scheduling.
All right, thank you. Through the chair to council. Purpose of this request for decision is for council to set the budget meeting dates in 2024 for discussion of the 2025 budget. Originally, I don't remember the exact dates, but there was some discussion around starting these deliberations in early November and spacing them out every couple of weeks. I have found in my experience that it's best to try to tackle the budget as close together as you can, because things are fresh in your mind, and administration's on task to help make any changes that need to be done. The second aspect is, given the nature of the by-election and the timing of council coming in, something I'm going to have on the governance and priorities discussion for next week is a discussion with myself on what council sees as some general budget priorities that we should focus administration's effort on in the short term. So, making a long story short, normally we would have had that discussion in May or June, and we'd be well into our operating budget and capital cycle, but with the nature of the election and the transition in CAO, we're really just getting kicked off at this point right now. So my request, I sat down with the mayor last week just to talk through what our process is going to look like. We're going to be focused hard on our capital budget. So in the MGA, it's a requirement that council approves by January 1st the operating budget for the upcoming year and the capital budget. There's a provision in the MGA that allows you to approve an interim operating budget, and the reason for that is the taxation cycle doesn't happen until March, April, where you get your assessments in and then can really determine what your revenue source looks like. For the capital budget, there is no such provision. So the budget that gets approved for the capital side is considered a final budget. You can always, as council, at any time make a motion to remove something from the capital budget, add something to the capital budget, but it's generally considered complete at the end of the year, and part of that is so we can go start doing our procurement and being ready for the capital project season. So I'm instructing administration to focus on making sure we have a 100% complete capital budget for council to deliberate, and if we can, a near as complete operating budget as we can possibly get. But if we need to have a pretty good operating budget and then a really good operating budget come final budget discussions in April, then we will do that at that point. But at this point, we discussed real quickly 3 separate days, December 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 9th, 10th, and 11th. I believe both on the 4th and 10th, we either have a council meeting or a gap meeting, so it would be to use whatever time afterwards of that for those discussions. Again, my experience is 2 or 3 days should cover this, so hopefully 6 is lots for council if we can have some discussion ahead of time. So really right now I'm just looking for a motion for council to set those 6 dates as the days for budget deliberations. We can block them in everyone's schedule, and then as we get closer we can set a more detailed schedule for the budget and how it'll be presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there Deputy Mayor Narayan?
Thank you, through your worship, and to Mr. Edney. Thanks for setting these dates. Fortunately, some of these dates will not work for me. I do have a full-time commitment outside of council as well. So depending on how open council is, I'm willing to propose a few dates. Or maybe it'll be easy if I tell you the ones that will not work for me. And of course, I'm one of 7. If the majority feels that, we'll stick with the dates, and so be it. Just unfortunately, I won't be able to attend these. I won't be able to cancel my classes. They're the last week of classes as well. So December 2nd, 4th, and 9th, they did not work for me.
If we move them to the evening, would that work?
Then that works.
That's no good for me.
9th in the evening.
All day. I'm in Miami.
Okay.
And if I may propose alternative dates,
Yeah, absolutely.
the 3rd, 6th, 10th, 11th, and any day in the following week.
I see you're looking at me. So yes, these were just some high-level quick dates for discussion. The only important date in the calendar would be December 31st. At any point, we could call either a special meeting if you needed to approve the budget after if you wanted to think about it. But my intent would be, hopefully, if we've got all the budget deliberations done, we would approve it at the final council meeting of the year on December 17th. But the budget meetings are council meetings, so you can approve the budget in those meetings at the end of them. So you've got a lot of flexibility as long as we get it done sometime between now and December 31st.
So then, quickly, if I may, off of everybody's, because this had been sent out to council previously, so does December 3rd work for everybody? Okay, December 4th. So 4 is no, not for everybody. Okay, 9th, no. 10, 11. Janelle's a no. And what were the other ones you suggested, Deputy Mayor?
And then any time after the 11th.
The 11th is a Wednesday. So what about the 12th and 13th? Oh, we're cutting it real close.
Sorry, through the chair. By that point, you're essentially done on the last meeting.
So then, oh no.
It does start to cut it close if there's a lot of contentious discussion, but again, the capital budget may be a little bit more straightforward than the operating budget. It can always be brought back, and anything in the capital budget that you're unsure of, you can always add to it at any point for the upcoming year. So,
What time can you get here on the 4th, Deputy Mayor?
I can be. Thank you, Your Worship. I can be here as early as 2 o'clock.
So if we started and say we did 3 to 8 on the 4th, my only thinking is that way that would give us some time between the 4th and the 10th where you could basically overload us with paperwork, knowing that we're not going to get through the whole thing, right? But then council could do homework between the 4th and the 10th to be able to meet some of those deadlines. Would that work?
so through the chair, that will work. What I'm expecting, or not expecting, what I'm telling you you're going to get is you're going to get 2 binders, hopefully at least a week in advance of our first meeting. One is going to be the operating budget binder that's going to outline everything that's going to be discussed by the departments. The other will be a capital budget binder. Each capital project is going to have a 1 or 2 page summary similar to what you saw when you first got elected with the capital budget that had already been approved. So it will give you a lot of time to hopefully read, come up with some questions, have some ideas, have some concerns, so that those meetings are then very productive. My intention would be to likely have the managers in to present their budget and answer your questions, but it's something I would talk with the directors first of whether directors want to handle that or where we're at for this particular year's budget cycle. So the only caveat I would have is if we get into evenings, there may be some managers, et cetera, that are not available to come
Right.
just due to personal schedules, but we can always work around that if we want to do it.
That's why I was trying to even shorten that evening. So what I'm proposing then, based on the schedules that have been said, is December 3rd, 9 to 5, knowing that we have a council meeting there as well. But we go 9 to 5. December 4th, 3 to 8. So that gives you an opportunity to get from the school to here. You said 2, but let's give you another hour so you can function. And then December 10th, 9 to 5. And then 12th and 13th from 9 to 5. Does that work for everybody? Well, it's a lot, but yeah. It's more workable. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we need a motion for that then. So we're December 3rd, December 4th, December 10th, not December 11th, December 12th, December 13th. Yeah. And then we can send out the times. Yeah. Okay.
Through the chair, would you like the times noted? Because of the December 4th time is different than the other ones, so there might be some confusion.
How do you feel?
Through the chair, I think it just makes it cumbersome. We'll advertise on the website, etc. What the times for budget are. I doubt anyone's going to go look at our motions for that. But if you'd like to add it, there's no harm in doing it. But I think it's just extra.
Why don't we just add it
information
then? The detail is there. We all know what we're agreeing to. Does that work? Okay. So December 3rd is 9 to 5. Bullet points. All right. Sure. Of note, first time I've ever been on council where council chambers is empty during a meeting. It's never happened in my time on council till right now. No, yeah, I'm in the gallery.
You made council chambers boring too?
You're not going to point out that as soon as I start talking, everybody.
Just trying to be polite.
What? Does that, I think that works. Deputy Mayor, do you want to take care of this?
Yes, thank you, Worship, and thank you to you and members of council and Mr. Edney for being nimble and then facilitating my availability as well. So I move the council set December 3rd, 10th, 12th, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and December 4th, 2024 from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. as needed as the dates for 2025 budget deliberation meetings.
Comments, questions? Councillor Samble.
Thank you, Your Worship. Friendly to add the 13th as well.
Thank you.
Friendly accepted. We're adding 13th. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Call for the vote. Great, that's carried. Moving on now to 10.5, Directive Number 9 report, also presented from Mr. Edney.
All right, thank you. Through the chair to council. So just a little bit of background on this report. I had a chance to talk with Municipal Affairs a little bit at the AB Munis Convention and then followed up with them on 2 separate occasions last week just to clarify the status of where the city's at with all of our directives that were issued under the previous ministerial orders. With some discussion around them, there were a couple of items in each of the directives that we just needed to clarify for them and just follow through with a couple of procedural things that they asked for that they weren't comfortable that we had necessarily gotten to. So I'm just going to walk through the report here quickly. I won't read off all the recommendations to council that I'm looking for in separate motions that will come up. Perhaps maybe the best format will be to discuss each one of these and then make that motion and then move on to the next one. I don't know what you're thinking, Mr. Mayor, or would you like to go through everything and then make each motion?
No, I think we're going to end up making. Well, we have to make each motion.
Yes. Would you like to do it after we've had the discussion around each one? I think
Yes.
might be preferred from a municipal affairs standpoint.
Yeah.
So I will just start, I guess, at the top. So the first one is going to hit. Actually, let's go to that one last because that will encompass our other ones. So if we go to the second page and we talk about the first motion that I'll be looking for is that council approves the report detailing the actions taken to address the items from the municipal inspection report. So under Directive 1, under the original ministerial orders, the directive stated from the minister that I direct council and the CAO to review all recommendations made to the city of Chestermere in the inspection report and provide a report to the minister to be discussed in open session of council and approved by council resolution on the city's plan to address each recommendation in the inspection report or an explanation of why no action will be taken for any individual recommendations. So in your budget binder, there's a list of the report on the CUF recommendations. I've handed out the spreadsheet in an 11 by 17 format. Hopefully I'm not the only one who had trouble reading it in the smaller font. This has been brought to council even during my time here. I believe you're all aware of the CUF recommendations report. We've seen it, we've looked at it. The issue municipal affairs had is that we did not discuss it and approve it by council resolution. So that's what they're looking for at this point, is essentially the acknowledgement that every council member is aware of what those CUF recommendations were, what the action that was taken was, why that action was taken that way, and where we're sitting at it with it today. So it's being reported to council that we've completed all of the CUF recommendations. That's what this report says. I've asked Mike to join us for this conversation because he was instrumental in making sure we actually completed all this. And it may seem a little bit cumbersome right now, but what we need to do from municipal affairs point of view is walk through each of these line by line. If there's any comments, questions, discussion council has of how does it apply to you or that type of thing, now's the time to have that, and then have that resolution afterwards saying that we've gone through this exercise and are aware of, even though a number of these recommendations were directed towards the previous council, municipal affairs would just like this council to be aware of essentially what got the previous council in trouble, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think as a comment to that, though, I don't think that we're needing to go similar to what we did with the bylaw today. I think it's more of a holistic, council has had the opportunity to see this.
Yeah.
It has been presented to council a number of times. It was sent out in our agenda packages. The expectation is that one comes to council meetings prepared, meaning that they have read the agenda. And so I think by line, what that includes to mean is if there's a specific question about it, now is the time. If there is not, no problem, because again, this is not the first time we've seen it. It's not the first time we've discussed it. This is just finalizing that directive, if you will. So as chair, then I will open up the floor. Are there any questions anybody has with regards to the CUF recommendations? Actually, and you know what, to do this, I think what I'm going to do is do it a little bit the old school way, and we'll just go through and then we can really write this off. So, Councillor Grant, do you have any questions with regards to the CUF recommendations?
I do not, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Narayan, any questions about these?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Randhawa?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Schindler?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Sambo?
Nothing from me, thank you, Your Worship.
There we go. So, Mr. Edney, I think we're ready to make the motion.
Yes, so perfect. With that discussion, if we could have that first motion up. It will be the second motion, I guess, in your. Yep, that's the motion they're looking for.
Deputy Mayor Narayan, as the one who has had to deal with this the longest, I am going to invite you to have the opportunity to close this item off.
It'll be my pleasure. Thank you, Worship. Move Council approve the report detailing the actions taken to address the items from the municipal inspection report.
Comments or questions? Call for the vote. Great, and that's carried. Mr. Edney, second one.
All right, thank you. Through the chair to council. On to a couple of items from Directive 3A. So in the report in the back, if you look at Directive 3A, it asked for council to discuss a number of items such as the rotation of the deputy mayor and protocols for posting meeting minutes, etc. From municipal affairs perspective, we've completed a number of those items, but there were 3 that they felt we needed to address in some more detail. Those 3 items being the agenda preparations, the use of request for decision forms, and ensuring equal and concurrent access to information for all of council. So really quickly, I'll walk through our processes that we use for each of these items, and then the motion will be for each one of these individually for council to approve this process and understand that this is the process we use. So when it comes to agenda preparation, the process for both regular council meetings and the governance and priority meetings includes a weekly meeting between the mayor, the CAO, and the manager of legislative services, where we look at the next 4 meetings and discuss the agendas. A spreadsheet has been developed that all of council has access to. That's the one that was shared by Kallen, which allows any individual councillor to add items to be included at upcoming meetings. You're also able in that spreadsheet to include whether it is a high or low priority item. This list is reviewed during these meetings, and items are added to the agenda as the schedule allows. So items from administration that are from an administration purview are also brought up at these agenda planning items and discussed of how they fit into the general schedule. Council members may also request items be added to the agenda via an email to the mayor and or through a notice of motion at a council meeting. So it's something we haven't done yet, but that is something you can do to let us know going forward. And the process for the notice of motion is outlined in our procedural bylaw. Additionally, emergent items may be requested to be added under new business as per our procedural bylaw. So I think that's encompassed how we go about preparing the agendas. And then at this point, I guess the question would be from council if you're willing to make an motion to accept this procedure for preparation of our agendas.
Sorry, one moment. Oh, yeah. Okay, can I have a councillor make the following motion, please? Councillor Schindler.
I move that council approve the process for council meeting agenda development.
Comments, questions? Call for the vote. Great, thank you. That's carried. Next one.
All right, thank you. Through the chair to council. Another item in Directive 3A that the minister was just looking for some more clarification on is the use of request for decision forms. Ironically, this report is on a request for decision form, so this is something that we have already implemented up to this point. But again, it was a process that was implemented administratively when Pat came here and just hasn't actually been discussed by council that this is an appropriate means to allow council to make decisions. So essentially, we've implemented this process. All items brought that require a decision are brought using the request for decision template. It highlights the recommendation to council, provides background information, related decisions and policies, other options considered, and highlights risks and implications from making the decision. So we view it as a effective tool for council to use when needing to make decisions. We also have a report for information form, very similar to the request for decision, that is used when we're just providing information to council that doesn't need a decision. So again, if council's happy with this process, we'd look for a motion to approve this process.
Yes, and just to add to that too, council will be receiving a presentation from administration on our RFP process. So that's going to also be coming to council here in the near future, just so that we can have, I know that we've all been provided with a copy of that policy, but that's also going to be coming for presentation as well here at a future date. So can I have some...
Just for clarification, RFP is request for procurement.
Thank you. Can I have a councillor make the following motion, please? Councillor Randawa.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the council approve the process for using requests for decision, RFDs, for council meetings.
Comments, questions? Call for the vote. Great, and that's carried. And then the last one.
All right, thank you. Through the chair to council. So the final item in Directive 3A we need to address was an important aspect that came out of the report with the previous council is ensuring equal and concurrent access to information for council members. So there are a number of ways the city ensures equal and concurrent access to information for all of council. We've talked about this outside of this meeting and in other meetings as well. But the intent is the CAO will CC all council members on information being sent out or when responding to an email from an individual councillor. The mayor provides a weekly update to all council members highlighting the activities of the week. Emails from either the mayor or CAO are sent on individual topics if the information needs to be disseminated immediately. For confidential and privileged information, a closed session item will be added to the next meeting agenda and appropriate materials are distributed to all of council. So again, if council is comfortable with this process and that it's being followed, look for a motion approving that.
Thank you. Council, someone to make the following motion, please. Councillor Grant.
Almost got a promotion there. I move that council approve the process for ensuring equal and concurrent access to information for all members of council.
Comments or questions? Fantastic. Call for the vote. Great, and that's carried. So then, to Mr. Edney, I believe then this will now get sent into Municipal Affairs, and then we just await their final approval that we have met all of these directives to the satisfaction of the minister.
So through the chair, there's still one more motion that we need to go through here, and it was the first motion that I skipped over. I should have done the report in a different order.
Nope, it's all right.
But it's just the council approves the Municipal Affairs Progress Report. So I'd like to just walk through that quickly if I can. There's a number of items that didn't need a council resolution, but I'd like to highlight the status of them and where they've been completed. So again, back to the Municipal Affairs Directives. Kallen, if you have that report, that was the attachment to the RFD. Yep. So looking at the first page, Directive 12 just required council and CAOs, which is an important thing from municipal affairs perspective, that this is a report coming from both of us. Provide a report to the minister by the 20th of every second month, summarizing council's progress on the directives issued. The next one is due October 20th. So you'll notice on this report, I have labeled it October 18th. One of the things that they request for that period is agendas and minutes from all the meetings held during the previous 2-month period. So one of my caveats with this report that I'm looking forward is I'll update those on the final page once we've done the next 2 meetings and have some minutes to attach to it. So Directive 1 we've talked about. We've just completed that a couple of motions ago to finish off Directive number 1. Directive 2 has been completed. Now Directive 3, we just finished that off again today. Directive 3B has been completed with the procedural bylaw. Verbally, I've heard from Municipal Affairs that they're comfortable with this. I haven't received that in writing, which is why it's still in white. 4A has been completed, 4B, 4C. 5A, again, we're calling this completed. Speaking with the Assistant Deputy Minister, They believe this is going to be fine with the minister. This is the code of conduct complaints during the previous council term. They feel it's moot at this point, as it has there's no action item that the current council can do with any of those code of conduct complaints. So again, just waiting on written confirmation from the minister on that one. 5B, 5C, 5D, and 5E were all previously completed. Directive number 5F took a little bit of time, but we got that posted up on October 3rd. So if you go to the council page on the website now, if you go to the bottom, there's a couple of boxes that highlight how members of the public can file a code of conduct complaint and who they contact. One of the things in our code of conduct that the mayor and myself and Michael at Kingsgate have noticed is that our code of conduct actually requires people to send it directly to the investigator, with no means for, if it comes to me or somebody, to forward it on. So that's something we'll look at updating as we go forward, because people often aren't comfortable necessarily doing that. So that's been completed. Again, waiting on the minister to let us know. Directive 6A, same idea. We completed that when you went through strategic planning with Ian McCormick, waiting on written confirmation. Same with 6B and 7. We completed the strategic plan on September 23rd, approved that. So again, this will go back in this report saying we've completed that and await on their direction. 8A is done. 8B, we just finished that up on October 2nd, the roles and responsibilities workshop that you completed last week. 9, 10A, 10B are all complete at this point. The one outstanding item, so to go to your question, Mr. Mayor, a couple minutes ago, one outstanding item that Municipal Affairs doesn't believe we've satisfied yet is directive number 11, providing the minister a list of all municipal land sales and the market values for each of these. It includes potential items where we swapped land. So I need to get a copy of that report and just read through what we've sent in so far and update it. There was a directive that came through in the summer from the minister extending our timeline for completion of this entire process to the end of January 2025. That's why that is on there, January 31st, 2025. My goal is, of course, to have that done sooner than later. After this report is submitted, I'm hoping that that is the only outstanding item anymore at this point, is that land sales. And then, of course, Directive 12A and Directive 12B will continue until these reports no longer have to be submitted. So with council's approval, I'm looking for a motion authorizing me to submit this report as presented to the minister's office.
Great, thank you. Have a councillor make the following motion, please. Councillor Schindler.
I move that council approve the Municipal Affairs Progress Report number 9 and authorize the CAO to submit it to the minister's office.
Comments, questions? Call for the vote. And that's carried. Thank you, Mr. Edney. I believe then that completes 10.5, this agenda item.
Yes, through the chair, that completes item 10.5.
Fantastic. So now we'll go to 10.6, the Communications Strategy Workshop, also presented by CAO Kent Edney.
Yes, lucky for you. 4 or 5 reports in a row here. So this is a pretty straightforward one. Council and myself, we've had a number of discussions, ad hoc per se, just about the communication strategy the city employs to communicate information to residents, internally, externally, all those kind of things. Believe it's prudent at this point that we get together and have a workshop to discuss what the expectations of council are, some improvements to our processes, those kind of things. So I'd like to set October 29th as the date for a communication strategy workshop. So looking for a motion from council to do that.
Thank you. Just a comment on this. Councillor Sandbo and Councillor Schindler and I had an opportunity at Alberta Munis to attend a session on communications. And one of the things that the presenter talked about is the importance of actually doing a workshop like this within, I believe it was your first 3 to 6 months of being elected, having council and administration come together to discuss the communication strategy through a workshop. So I think it is great that our council, within that timeline, is having that conversation with our administration to be able to do that, and taking away that learning and confirming some of that information that we had gathered while at Alberta Munis there a couple weeks ago. So with that, if I could have a councillor make the following motion to book the workshop, except I see Mr. Edney's hand going back up.
Yes, through the chair, just wanted to clarify one more thing. That's also the date of our organizational meeting. So the intent would be to have the organizational meeting in the morning and this in the afternoon.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Councillor Randhawa.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the council set October 29, 2024 as the date for the communication strategy workshop.
Great, thank you. Comments, questions? Yeah, Councillor Schindler.
I had a quick question. For the org meeting, is that going to be enough time from 9 a.m. to, I guess, about noon for that meeting? Or knowing how much we like to go over?
Yes, through the chair, my experience is those meetings are generally pretty quick, like an hour-ish. So if we've got 3 or 4 hours, we should be plenty fine.
Yeah. With that, call for the vote. Great, thank you, and that's carried. With that, I believe we have come to the end of our meeting. I don't believe there's any other items on the agenda at this time. And so with that, I would like to call for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Councillor Grant.
I move that council adjourn the meeting at 2:24 p.m.
Thank you. Call for the vote. Thanks, everybody. It's only 18 minutes over.